Fear among Hawaii Island residents is mounting as some people are already experiencing respiratory problems they believe is from the volcanic fog from Mauna Loa. And joining us now is Dr. Jordan Lee from the American Lung Association in Hawaii. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me this morning. Pleasure to
And
be here.
yes, no, and I know, we've spoken to a few residents who are already experiencing some respiratory problems that started yesterday. Are we expecting those to get worse, or are we kind of keeping an eye on what develops with the eruption?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. Right now, it's really early to say, but the effects from the volcano can take a few days to weeks to actually come through. It really depends on the weather conditions, and we have to keep track of the National Weather Service as well as the amount of volcanic plume and ash that is being dispersed.
Oh, quite a few different factors that you just mentioned that plays into all of this. So as of course, keeping an eye on all of those things, and we have Davey D here keeping an eye on our weather from in the studio with us. But volcanic fog, what are the risks of that on the lungs?
Yeah, so volcanic fog or the ash that is spewed out from the volcano is usually a mixture of three main gases. So water vapor is one of them, the main thing, but the toxic ones are sulfur dioxide as well as carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide as well. So those last three gases are very irritant to the human body. It can affect everything as far as your eyes, your sinuses, your lungs, particularly because that's your biggest air filter that we have in the body. So they can cause a lot of harm and especially harmful to children, older adults, and people with underlying lung conditions, particularly those with asthma, COPD. They can have really bad bronchospasms and chronic bronchitis flare-ups. Yeah.
So what's the best way for people to stay protected? Because I know this is also coming at a time where we're really keeping an eye on other respiratory problems, and illnesses, COVID-19, RSV. So what can people do?
Yeah, so I think I was talking about this briefly yesterday, but we are kind of at the tail, or we're kind of in the height of what we call flu season. So a lot of folks out there have been affected by COVID. We are currently going through a flu season right now, as well as RSV. So we are at risk. People are at risk for getting these types of infections, and then on top of that, having that exacerbated by the volcanic fog. So some of the tips that we can provide for you to protect your lungs. So some are these, number one, like stay indoors and protect your air in your home. So those would mean closing your windows if you can, using an air conditioner that is recycling the air as well as an air filter. You want to prepare to evacuate if needed. So I know we're keeping close tabs on the flow direction and rate that the volcano and Mauna Loa is going at right now. So a lot of our ohana here on Big Island have to be prepared to move at the drop of a second. So making sure they have their medications on hand, particularly if they have lung problems, their inhalers, steroids, making sure they have their delivery devices, all their other medication insurance cards in order to evacuate right as needed. Number three, you want to make sure that you want to avoid driving if possible. So weather conditions could be harsh. The air, like I said, if it gets circulated within your car can be damaging as well. You want to monitor your volcanic fog in the area that you live. So keep tabs on the news like you guys are doing right now. Keep an eye on your symptoms. So if you experience wheezing, shortness of breath, difficulty taking a deep breath, chest heaviness or tightness, coughing that interrupts your sleep, unusual fatigue, please contact your physician immediately. Don't wait until it's too late. Okay. Don't depend on a dust mask. So the simple dust mask that we have been using for most of our time with COVID may not work to help filter out some of the smaller particles that are released from the volcano. So if you are close in proximity or you are targeted as someone that might be downstream of the volcanic fog or the fog, I would recommend that you guys use N95 mask if possible. Yeah. And yeah, so if you have any questions, please reach out to American Lung Association helpline. They're at 1-800-LUNG USA. That's 1-800-586-4872, or you can go to lung.org/volcano.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lee. Some great information there. And is, in a way, good thing we all know what an N95 mask is now, since that, as you mentioned, that might be a good thing to have on hand.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much. Take care. Aloha.